In order. So will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Cordova,
Here.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Mr. Lopez.
Here.
Mr. Merrick,
Here.
Ms. Parker.
Here.
Mr. Rackler is absent. Mr. Robinson,
Here.
Mr. Self,
Here.
and Mayor Miller.
Here.
All right, we have a quorum.
All right, please stand. We're going to release and indicate that all these are the floor.
Very good with me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the blessing of the moisture that you have given to us. We ask that you continue to bring that moisture to us, enter into our meetings so that we can make decisions that are, that you will guide us in. Please let us do the best for our community. Let us place you at the center of everything that we do. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Please join in the pledges. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Salute the flag of the state of Mexico, the symbol of urban friendships among united cultures. Before we speak, I'd just like everyone to remain standing. I'd like to have a moment of silence. We lost one of our former mayors this past Friday. Served for a long time, served on the city council. We also lost one of our former firefighters from here at Portales, Steve Irvin, DK Shaver. So we could just memorialize them for just a minute, please. Thank you, seated. I've got a list of public comment. Is everybody that wanted to make public comments on it? With that, the public has an opportunity to provide comment on subject regarding city business. During the public comment period, speakers' comments will be limited to 3 minutes unless the mayor and or councilors request more information. The time limit is given in an effort to allow public input, but also to move the agenda forward in a prompt yet efficient manner. All speakers must sign in at the beginning of the meeting. Topics are limited to 6 speakers per topic. My first speaker is Ms. Baca on city issues.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. I'm just going to jump into it so I don't go over my 3 minutes. I came to you with the issues on June 3rd. And as of today, there has been no update and no one from the council has reached out to discuss with me the reuse water funds and the placement of a yield sign on North Main. I find this very discouraging as well as sad. I'd like to bring up proactive and reactive. Proactive and reactive. 2 small words, but big impacts. Being proactive is much better than having to always be in a reactive state. However, it seems like we just can't get out of the reactive state, and I just don't understand why. Possibly it's because we are waiting to have 10 to 15 citizens come address the same concern before we start listening and reacting to the citizens' needs, the citizens that each of you represent. So I'm going to ask again, for a yield sign or a stop sign on North Main by Allsups, can we please get something done before someone gets hurt or even killed? I'm also looking for the breakdown of where the reuse water funds are going to. For us citizens to be paying each month and have nothing to show for it just does not add up. I don't want to use a word such as embezzlement, so I won't. However, we need to find out where the misuse of funds lie. Without having the reuse water up to par, even fighting fires with it is out of the question. It causes us citizens to be told to conserve water even more when there has been a fire. Think about that. I'm also going to ask for the removal of the pine trees that are located by the F-111 display. Lightning has caused water breaks And I would hate to see these trees go up in flames and the plane go up with them. It's something that the city can't afford. And one last thing, because I've asked for this through the site and I've talked to other people, I'd like to have a new dumpster replaced and replacing an existing one near 1420 North Abilene Place. The existing one has a lid, but it seems to me to protect the ground under the dumpster or around the dumpster instead of keeping the trash from blowing out all over our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. Davidson, are you wanting to speak on ordinance 776? Yes, sir. We'll have a public comment period.
Yeah, I'm gonna bypass that.
Okay, so you're gonna use 3 minutes.
I'm gonna use this.
All right, that's good. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Miller and council. My name is Mike Davidson. Tonight, there's an action item and public hearing to replace several ordinances with a single ordinance 776 for clarity and enforcement purposes. I'm speaking during the public comment time because I really don't have an issue with the ordinance itself. I understood both Maureen Baca and Eldon Merrick were on the review committees, and I trust these folks to represent me. I had just wanted to look at the final draft, and it was not included in the agenda. I wanted to see where it wound up. And I figured it was in the council's agenda packet, but the city has stopped publishing the agenda packets with no explanation to the public as to why that I know of. So I did a Google search for ordinance 776 for Taos, New Mexico, and got no results. I then checked the section of the city website entitled Public Hearing Notices 2025, and it also was not there. There was no intent to adopt. So I went to the Clovis city website to see if they still published agenda packets, and sure enough, last night they had a committee meeting with both an agenda and an agenda packet published. The week prior, they had a city commission meeting, their version of our city council meetings, and the agenda packet was also included on that. I searched for any state directive or recommendation to stop publishing agenda packets and could find nothing. So my question is, or maybe in this format, just better stated as a concern, how can the city of Portales conduct a public hearing without providing a copy of what is being discussed? The agenda was published on Friday, which does not allow enough time for an IPA request to be fulfilled. The public can't participate in the decision-making process without access to the necessary information. It would also seem like any action taken here would be easy to challenge if an issue arises in the future regarding the ordinance. So thank you for your time.
Bring up a nice point. I'd like to ask, did we not publish this in the legal section as required by law?
It was.
So it was published. It always has to be published through legals. That right after the intent to adopt, then it's taken to the newspaper. That's our legal responsibility to publish an ordinance.
Okay, I did not check the news.
So it should have been in the legal prior to this.
And if
That
I-
has to be done.
And if I might add, please, Mike,
Yes.
there were copies available. You could have contacted me and I would have scanned and sent it to you.
Okay.
I was given a provisional copy for that purpose.
All right.
I will look at that in the future then.
But it does have to be published in the legal prior to the public hearing for 2 weeks. Yeah, thank you. Okay, that brings us to the minutes of the previous meeting, the regular meeting held August 5th, 2015. Mr. Mayor, did you get your question answered on the question you had on here? Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, Mr. Sell.
I got one of them. I would like to, one of the sentences said amendment changes the proposed 3 million tank to 1.5 million gallon tank due to limited available space. I don't remember that being a reason from the last meeting that that was what was being amended.
If I may, I did listen to that recording and I double checked that. I believe it is legitimately in there.
Because of space?
I believe I did see or hear that.
So to answer the question, so the question specifically you're asking is, was the proposed contract amended or changed from a $3 million or it's 3 million gallon facility? We're stuck on dollar figures, aren't we? 3 million gallon facility to a 1.5 million gallon facility.
Yes.
Is that?
And it was under the tab of Blackwater Draw, where there's
Right, got
plenty
it.
of land and so.
So the way it's written and the way it's designed right now and proposed, and it's set up, it's it's set up, the design and the A&E design is set up for two 1.5 million gallon tanks for a total of 3 million gallons when complete, if complete. It's also recommended that's phased. So phase one would be architecture and engineering design. Phase two would be implementation of one of, or any number of 8 from a pick list that we would choose at our discretion that we see as best for the phases. And that could be the tanks or it could be something else. Or it could be one of 2 tanks later followed by 2 tanks. But to answer your question is 3 million gallons of stored water in 2 tanks, each tank being 1.5 million gallons.
Thank you for the explanation, but that still doesn't make sense to me because of limited available space. Sounds like there's plenty of space for future growth, so.
Yeah, to be fair, I went through it today. I didn't see anything about limited available space and I don't know where that came from because that's not what I read in the proposal.
If I remember the discussion, it was more a concern of the funding instead of space. It was just, it was because of the funding that they were dropping that from a few million gallons to 1.5 million.
That was my understanding, it was about money, not about space.
And while we're on that, there was actually a motion for items 1, 2, 3, and 4 on our agenda today. Postpone those till September 2nd, and they're on the agenda today. But Mr. Rackler had specifically asked that the 2, 3 items on the notice of intent be held off until he was present at the first meeting in September.
Unless the deadline that is required by the water department
Okay.
on these items, then it would be allowed to move to the last.
So the deadline's moved to
August.
September 11th. That's what we were told at the last meeting.
That was the preferred deadline, but there was also an additional statement made that said unless the deadline is forcing them to have it scheduled during the last meeting for August.
I just noticed that in the meeting, the minutes as well. All right. So where are we with the meeting?
Can we amend that to limited space, available space to due to funding? Is that adequate, everybody? Don't need to make a motion for that?
When you approve the minutes. Amend the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes with the amendment in the minutes that instead of limited available space, talking about the 3 million gallon tank to 1.5, it's about funding. Check.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Our next item is discussion opportunity between the governing body and the New Mexico Environment Department regarding concerns. I think we have a couple of people here. Is that correct? You guys would take the podium and introduce yourselves, please.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Cambray Townsend. You can call me Cam. I'm a water resource professional with the New Mexico Environment Department in the Groundwater Quality Bureau and the Pollution Prevention Section. I am assigned as the technical reviewer for the groundwater discharge permit for the city of Portales Wastewater Treatment Facility, DP 887. I also have with me Deb Carpenter and Brad Jones. They're also technical reviewers and permit writers. And they also have a lot more expertise than me in this field. And so if there are questions or anything that I can't answer, I will probably refer to them. This is about the wastewater treatment facility in the city's non-compliance with NMED's groundwater discharge permit. The renewal modification permit was issued to the city of Portales in August 2021. The city of Portales is authorized to receive and treat up to 2.5 gallons per day of treated domestic wastewater and discharge class 1A reuse water to city-owned properties for above ground irrigation and other uses, temporary uses like the fire hydrants and the sandpipe. They are also authorized to discharge excess class 1A reuse water and effluent that doesn't meet class 1A reuse standards to a city-owned playa and the surrounding area. So I was came on as technical reviewer for this facility around mid last year. Since then, we issued a notice of non-compliance on May 12th, 2025. I'm hoping the members of the council got an opportunity to read the notice of non-compliance as it outlines each of the conditions that the city is out of compliance with their discharge permit. So the city hasn't been able to discharge to the class 1A reuse locations like the parks and the standpipe and the fire hydrants since for some time now. They've struggled to meet quality to be able to sprinkler irrigate these parks since at least January 2022. And so there have been some issues with the quality of that water. And so they've only been able to discharge to the playa. Has anyone on the council been to the wastewater treatment plant? Okay, so like 2 or 3 of y'all. Cool. Have you guys seen the discharge permit? Have you guys ever looked at the discharge permit for the city? Okay, so back in 2022, and I think this is before some of your current staff were on board, but NMED contracts out a consultant to provide on-site training and technical assistance. And so we had this consultant come out back in August of 2022 to provide some on-site training to the folks that were there at the time and some technical assistance. And so they provided some recommendations for system improvements and ways to move forward and getting in compliance with the state and other items for consideration. Have you guys seen that Oso del Agua report, on-site technical assistance report? Okay, did you guys know that someone has come by and provided technical assistance? Okay. And so back also earlier in 2024, I met with the wastewater treatment plant staff and the engineer that the city works with to discuss the non-compliance with the reuse quality and the exceedances of fecal coliform, BOD, and turbidity in the treated wastewater. And so we discussed and I required the city to provide me with a corrective action plan for those non-compliance items. And I was provided a corrective action plan from Wilson and Company. Have any of you guys read the corrective action plan?
Is it the one dated February 2025?
It is, yes. February 13th, 2025. You haven't seen it? Okay. Yeah, I would recommend reading that. I'd recommend reading the Oso del Agua report. I emailed them to Danielle, and I've also emailed them to Mr. Minton. So I highly recommend reading those reports. You guys are the customer when you contract out, some of these businesses and things. And so I really think you guys should look at the product that you guys are paying for. Let's see, I also did inspection in 2025. And so there are a few things at the wastewater treatment plant that were identified in the inspection and as well as that report, like the mechanical bar screen that's supposed to filter out, the big materials that people might flush down, like rags and things like that. And so the bar screen is got some issues. It's manually raked, so you got guys out there every day raking out flushable, non-flushable wipes and things like that. There's a H2S removal system there that doesn't work. And apparently it hasn't worked since it was installed. There's about a year backup of solids in this system that really needs to get worked out, and it's really hard to process all of those solids. Last time I was here, I was told that the staff were trying to process about 23,000 gallons of solids from the wastewater treatment plant a day with the screw press for dewatering and composting. Let's see, also the treated wastewater gets stored in a reuse storage impoundment. If you guys haven't seen the wastewater treatment plant, I highly recommend going and getting a tour and seeing what the staff do in their day-to-day and how the treatment plant works. You flush your toilet and that's where that goes. So I think it's a really big backbone of the community. You know, we all eat and excrete. So okay. And I think here, the purpose of me being here is to explain to you the current status of the wastewater treatment facility, our attempts to gain voluntary compliance with the facility, and that, you know, we're still here trying to gain the city of Portales' compliance and support of the wastewater treatment facility. Yeah, we've already issued a notice of non-compliance. That's seeking your voluntary compliance with the permit. Yeah, we recently got the next path would be to continue with enforcement. And we don't really like to do enforcement. It's not the fun thing to do. It leads down to fines. Basically, you guys got a notice of non-compliance, seeking, you know, voluntary compliance. Next level, if these items in the corrective action plan and required and the items in the notice of non-compliance are not addressed, then we may have to escalate it to a notice of violation. You know, and we do have a new division at the Environment Department that's a compliance and enforcement division, and they're really interested in trying to, you know, get folks into compliance and do some enforcement. I have no idea what that looks like. I don't know what their full plans are for that division, but once it goes to administrative compliance order, that would go into their hands, and I'm not sure what that looks like. But yeah, I'm here to kind of give you guys a rundown on what's going on with the wastewater treatment plant from the perspective as a regulator of the district for the discharge permit. And yeah, kind of get an idea of where the city council is at and how aware you guys are of the issues with the wastewater treatment plant. Because I do know you guys are really interested in doing reuse, and you know, it's very beneficial to this community. You guys will not be authorized to discharge treated wastewater to the parks if you can't treat it to proper quality, because there's people that go to the parks, you know, so fecal coliform's got to be right. You don't want a kid to lick the grass and get sick, you know. So yeah, thank you for your time. If you ever have questions, please email me, please call me. I don't think my name is on the current permit, but yeah, Mr. Minton has my email and my phone number, and as well as Danielle. And yeah, you guys are welcome to call me anytime with any questions about the permit.
Questions right now?
What do you think's a reasonable amount of time to display corrective action on our end?
I think that really depends on, you know, how you guys want to tackle this problem and which problems need to be addressed first. I mean, I gave it 30 days for the corrective action plan, and this was back in, I think, December or September of 2024, and I got the corrective action plan in February, and I put a 30-day notice on that. So we're already kind of behind on this compliance timeline. If you take a look at the notice of non-compliance, there are some deadlines in there. And so I'd recommend reading the notice of non-compliance. And we're already kind of past some of these deadlines. Some of these items, the staff have already addressed, which is great. And some of these, they haven't. For example, a proposal to repair or replace the impoundment liner or the impoundment berm by submitting a corrective action plan. This was not included in the corrective action plan that I received in February, so. And granted, this NONC is dated after that. I really recommend reading the corrective action plan. It itemizes each of the conditions that the facility is out of compliance with. Yeah, to answer that question. Sorry.
So in the Oso del Agua
Mhm.
LLC report,
Mhm.
it does show where they will provide technical assistance and training at no cost.
Mhm.
Who do we contact for that information so that we can get started?
Yes, you can contact, let's see, Robert George. His name and number should be on this report. However, I can provide you his phone number and email address if it is not in here. And so I will send that over to Danielle. Oh, here we go. On page 14 in disclaimer, he has his phone number and his email address in here.
On that report?
Yes, page 14. And yes, yeah, I'd recommend calling him.
And do you mind if, I don't know, can you all hear me? Can I?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Hi. I'm Avery Young. I'm the large system domestic waste team lead with the Groundwater Quality Bureau at the Environment Department. Thank you, Cam. That was an amazing overview of all the issues. And I'm just going to give a little bit more clarity on that last point. And if we have more questions, obviously, I'll pass it back to Cam. Robert George is under a contract with the Groundwater Quality Bureau to provide that on-site technical assistance. He goes around the state. He currently has his site's already picked out for a bit. We can definitely get Portales back on his list if you're interested. I would say that it's difficult for us to want to send him to communities that we don't feel have enough engagement back. And so this is, I think, is a really great step. And I think it now might be a better opportunity for him to come back to Portales as we're getting more engagement from, the council and the city manager and the mayor, and we appreciate that and thank you for that. I will also say that there are other free technical assistance providers out there. We have the Southwest Environmental Finance Center. There's the Rural Assistance Corp, RCAC. I always get their acronym mixed up. As well as your Council of Governments. We work a lot with the Council of Governments and Rural Water, as well as the New Mexico Water and Wastewater Association. So we do have a lot of other free technical assistance that could be provided. We could also, thank you, Jennifer, Rural Communities Assistance Corporation. And then we can also work with like the Department of Finance Authority. They have a new infrastructure and planning division that does a lot of work helping to direct the ICIPs to make sure that you all are correctly kind of rating your needs for infrastructure on the water and wastewater side. I know that you probably also have other things to consider, your parks, your roads, and other infrastructure as well. But we, can talk about some of those other options of getting you funding. There is funding through the New Mexico Finance Authority, as well as the Community Development Block Grant. And within the New Mexico Environment Department, we do have the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund in the Rural Infrastructure Program funding. So there's lots of options, lots of funding, lots of help. We just want to figure out where we can fit people in to help you. And I'll pass it back over to Kim.
Thank you.
I have one more question. So on this, the discharge permit, it expires in 1 year from today.
Mm-hmm.
If we do not get these corrective actions in place, what is the outcome of getting a new permit?
That's a good question.
That's a boss question.
That is a boss question. Avery, can you answer that?
Sure. We're not in the business of shutting down communities' wastewater treatment plants. We know that they're a vital infrastructure for your community. And if you weren't to be permitted, that would have severe impacts on, a large portion of the residents of New Mexico. And so I would say that we would probably continue with a permit. However, that permit would look pretty prescriptive as we start to work through some of these things. And by prescriptive, I mean we'll probably start to require deadlines on doing preliminary engineering reports, to have an engineer come in and evaluate your wastewater treatment system to see if we need certain upgrades. It already does sound like you do need some, especially on the solids handling as well as the headworks. Those are two areas of wastewater infrastructure that are kind of overlooked but have a huge impact on the overall treatment. And it's pretty, I see it a lot where facilities could have better infrastructure on those. And so going through and upgrading those has a lot of benefit. So we probably would be prescriptive in requiring you to look at those and probably upgrade them, put the capital cost in for that, as well as some other things to make sure that, you know, we kind of get down this path. And like Cambray said, we're more interested in voluntary compliance, but we'll do what we have to do because, you know, at the end of the day, it is to protect your water resources, your drinking water, and ensuring that the wastewater is dealt with appropriately to, you know, protect your community.
Thank you.
Further questions?
We open for comments as well. Team, so Scott Mitten, city manager, I think this is great. I love it. Thank you very much. Ms. Hill, thank you very much. I got to tell you right up front, Ms. Townsend and I had a very comprehensive and I think very productive telephone conversation earlier today. She forwarded me much of the data that we're talking about as far as the training that happened in the past and the corrective action plan, and that's in my inbox. We have a meeting agreement for tomorrow at 08:30 to be at the wastewater treatment plant. I'm familiar with many facets of wastewater treatment and treatment plants, and we discussed some of those things. So we're looking forward to that engagement tomorrow to go through there. I'm glad to have everybody in the room, Ms. Hill, Ms. Townsend, and team. And I'm very confident with just a little bit of time, and I mean about a week, I'll have for the city council and for you a timeline with requirements and cost estimates probably for a way forward on the wastewater treatment plant. And we can put it together from there and know where we are and where we're going with that. So give me a week to 10 days and we'll be able to have something in front of you that guides us on the path to getting straight. I think the information's there. We need a review of what we already know, what we know. We just need to take a look at it again and then weigh that and put it against some finance options. Yeah. This is a great time and space. Ms. McVeigh and I and other members are convening to readjust items for the ICIP. And with some of the things on the corrective action plan, I think we could put some items in the ICIP to get that turning right now. So it sounds a little bleak when you listen to it, but I'm very positive about this. I think we're in a great position. I like it and we're going to get something done. Okay. All right. Thanks. That's my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you.
And thanks for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
Just take 30 seconds of y'all's time, please. So just to put this in very plain language for us country folks, what we're looking here is progress, not perfection. So every great journey begins with one step. That's all we got to do here. And we've taken it tonight. So I just want to say thanks to y'all being in it to get it done.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, if there's nothing further. Governing bodies ratification of the city manager and fire EMS chief signatures acknowledging the submission of the FY 26 fire protection grant application regarding $140,382.48 for 28 cents of firefighter turnout gear, 28 sets.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor and Council. As the mayor eloquently put, we were here to get your ratification or your vote to ratify the signature of the city manager and myself on the acknowledgement form that was required before we could start the grant process. And I'll stand for any questions that you have.
Questions for the chief? Pleasure to council.
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion by Ms. Cordova, second by Ms. Parker. No further questions. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Next is governing bodies, public hearing for ordinance 776 to repeal and replace ordinances number 540, number 614, and number 665 for clarification and enforcement of nuisances within the city of Ocala. First thing I need is a motion to go into a public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Robinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. We're now in public hearing. I will take those that are in opposition to this ordinance for their comments. I will take those that are in favor of this ordinance for their comments. Seeing none on either side, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, second by Mr. Self. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Ms. McClellan, would you like to have some comments and then we'll take questions?
Of course. As always, I'm gonna go PowerPoint. No, I just wave my hands around a lot. I look like a bird. All right, perfect. So a little over 30 days ago, we brought the intent to introduce our nuisance ordinance. Let her catch up. Perfect. What had happened is we had these previous nuisance ordinances and they're old, they're outdated. We're really trying to build up our code enforcement department. And the best way to build that is on a strong foundation. It's not good to have it on ordinances that are hard to read, hard to clarify, and hard to enforce. So we got together, we did a sub-focus group with Mr. Eldon Merrick, Ms. Baca, Mr. Rackler, and then P&Z and myself to go through this to make sure it was what the city needed, to make sure it was in a good direction for the city. And I think we came up with a really good copy. And we did go this also through planning and zoning and the city attorney. So this is the original changes that we've done to the ordinance that we presented during the intent to introduce. So this is the one that I brought about 30 days ago. I said we didn't have a definition of notice. We had commercial properties must also be kept the same standards we keep residential properties. We kept up some language saying you got to keep your properties compliant. We added the step before the city steps in and abates to send it to municipal court. This allows the judge to also look and do fines, and it helps save the money because when we do file liens, it's not always easy to get those liens back. This would be a different manner of going about that. We still have the lien process if we cannot go to court. We clarified some emergency conditions. We removed the reveal and appeal process to the end with the appeal and review process at the beginning. It only covered what was before it, leaving everything below without that process. So it's at the end, so it catches everything. We increased the fine from 150 to 1,000, changed the definition of operable vehicle, and then cleared up our vehicle, an operable vehicle, because it was very confusing, like different timelines. It was just horrible. Is that internet? Draw these, but a lot of this was all approved through that subcommittee. I think it's a really good one. So that is the one that is in your packet. There's a supplemental. These were the changes of supplemental. These are the changes that happened in the 30-day public hearing notice before we got here today. So Ms. Rudd let us know that the fee maximum can be 500. So it's dropping. We changed it to 1,000. It's dropping back to 500 to be compliant. We are changing some grammar and formatting changes that we did catch within the 30 days. We replaced Mr. Elkins with Mr. Davis's signature page, and it's not. We go back one more. It's not on here, but the only change that I made that was significant was the review and the appeal process. Unfortunately, Ms. Rudd, when she came on, she said, "Hi, Ms. Rudd," and I said, "Hi, I'm Kelly," and I handed her a bunch of ordinances. So when she was able to review these, she's had a lot more familiarity with ordinances, and she caught a problem in our review and appeal process, where it was so the city could appeal the municipal court's decision. That's not correct. The municipal court should be after the review and appeal process. But after all that's been taken out, then it goes to court. So that has been changed. And that is pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Questions?
I do. Does someone have a hobby car?
Yes,
They can get a permit, no cost,
correct.
and that can be anywhere on their property as long as it's kept nice and tidy,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Could be
So
driveway, backyard, doesn't matter.
yes, so we're cracking down on operable vehicles. But the committee made a really good point out that some people don't have a garage, but they're rebuilding cars. They're trying to look nice, so there is a hobby permit that as long as your car looks like it's a hobby car, it's not in a state of nuisance, then you are completely fine to have it.
Okay.
And it is 100% free of charge.
And in that enforcement, if somebody sees that, they can ask if this is what you're doing and then ask them to go get a permit so that we all know that that's what the case is. Right?
Correct. We'll look into it the same way we look into anything else. And if they say this meets a hobby car, then fantastic, we'll get you your permit.
How much does it cost again?
The hobby permit is free. Yeah,
Okay.
it's just there to explain to the other citizens why they are allowed to have that vehicle there and maybe another citizen is not if it doesn't meet the requirements for a hobby car.
Further questions?
There are stipulations on where it's stored. They still have to maintain the weeds around it. They can't, so the weeds grow up around it. There's things that are placed in there. Try to keep it as could be.
There's no further questions. What's the council's?
Yes, Ms. Rogers reminded me, if you do decide to make the motion, you have to, it's recommended to accept these changes.
Does this original have the amendments in?
The original was not, the supplement that we gave does. Yes,
So what was posted in the newspaper as the changes?
no, what was posted, what has posted in the newspaper has to be what we brought 30 days ago. So the one we brought 30 days ago does not have those 4 changes on it. These 4 changes were done in that 30-day period where additional changes can be made.
We can make additional changes. Besides these.
Doesn't have to be reposted as effective.
No,
That's right.
because we're just bringing what the proposed is, and this is accepting the final, and there can be differences between the two.
So the motion to approve needs to include the amendments. Presented this evening. Pleasure to council.
I'll make a motion to approve with the amendments.
I'll second.
Motion by Mr. Merrick, second by Mr. Self to approve ordinance 776 with the amendments that were presented this evening. Ms. Swopes, will you please call the roll?
Yes, sir. Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Self.
Yes.
Okay, it passes.
Thank you. Next item is governing body's approval of intent to adopt amendment to ordinance number 494, Article 3, signs.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. So my department, we like a little bit of extra work, so we've been going through our ordinances and updating them to be more relevant, especially if we've seen problems enforcing or with these ordinances in the past. So we're bringing up to you signs. This came up because this is what controls billboards. And you guys have seen some billboards appeal recently. So we updated this with the help of another subcommittee, which was Mr. Elvin Merrick, Ms. Veronica Cordova, Ms. Warren Baca from Planning and Zoning, and then staff that have dealt with this. And these changes, of course, have been looked over by Ms. Rudd. So the first was we didn't even have a definition of a billboard in the ordinance that was limiting billboards. So we added billboards, definitions to permanent and temporary. We specified where business advertisement signs and size requirements for each. So pretty much what we do that includes all of this is our old ordinance said no billboards anywhere. That if you wanted, you just couldn't have a billboard. So we were seeing a lot of variance applications for billboards, which is an expensive process for the city to take that variance to the appeal process to city council to be approved. So we wanted, if we're gonna be a more billboard friendly city, I wanted a more billboard friendly ordinance. So we said signs are allowed anywhere under a certain square footage. And that's 100 square feet is considered a sign. Anything over 100 square feet is considered a billboard. If it's permanent, if it's temporary, that's all covered. We updated maintenance. Our current maintenance one was hard to enforce, and having large signs that are not well maintained is not good for the city. We updated the penalties. And then one of the things is, I'm gonna show you a map soon, but we highlighted areas in the city that billboards can automatically go without going through planning and zoning and city council, based on the areas that city council approved them in the end, or in the past. But we highlighted places that they can still apply to put a billboard there. They just have to cover the cost that is incurred to go through that appeal process. Currently, when someone does a variance for a billboard, they pay a $50 filing fee, and the city can pay $400 to $500 to get all the certified letters out. So the city ends up paying for these appeal processes. So we would just like to put the cost on the applicant versus the cost on the city citizens. Go to the next one. So this is what the billboard committee has decided of what billboards would be automatically approved. As you can see, they're in business zones, they're at the edge of town. It's not a very high congested place, and these are places that billboards have been approved in the past. So it wouldn't be anything upsetting, and of course, they can go anywhere in town. They would just have to go through the variance process with city council having the final decision. I think that is the only one. Nope, that is also, of course, this is just the intent to introduce. So this will have the same 30-day period where you guys can come to me and say, hey, I don't like this, I like this, make changes. Copies are with the city clerk for the public. They can also get it and recommend changes that they'd like to see in the 30 days. We'll have the public hearing. And if you guys are so inclined, adopt this into our ordinance. If you have any questions on this, I'll be happy to answer them.
Robertson.
The way it's set up, the universe is in the middle of the city. If they decide they want to put up a promotional billboard, do they have to go through the same process?
So the university, depending is, I think at the very, very end here. Yeah, that's correct. This is the university, correct?
Oh, that's the right there.
Yeah, so if they wanted to put it here, then they could go ahead and do it. If they wanted to put it a little further where it's more congested, they would have to go through the process of getting city council approval.
So they would have to do, okay.
Yes, if it was out, if they didn't do it in the approved area, then yes, they would have to.
Further questions?
No questions, just a comment, Mr. Mayor, if I may. The only other thing on the size, there was no restriction to wall mounted signs.
Correct.
Just to keep that in your.
Yeah, window signs, wall mounted signs, there's no restriction for those. Just permanently ones put into the ground.
So if we adopt this again, then we'll be back to us at our last meeting in September.
I believe so. If it's after the 30 days, then we'll bring it back.
What's the pleasure of the council on the intent to adopt amendments to ordinance number 494?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, a second by Ms. Parker. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Next item is the police department governing body's approval of intent to adopt amendment to ordinance 765. The use of funds to be used for the police department youth programs. Chief Williams. We got all the chiefs.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
had my body cam when I was addressing this group.
It's not a requirement at this point in time, so I'll leave it on the table. Okay, Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. Just like Ms. McClellan, have a request to amend an ordinance, go through the same 30-day period and everything else. What I'm asking for is on ordinance 765, our traffic camera ordinance, is just a simple few words of changing it to add and allow for us to spend
the funds that the city gets on the youth programs as well. So that's not just sports, that's also like our Santa Cop, different things for our SRO to take to the schools, DWI awareness, drug awareness, things, all that kind of good stuff. Since our youth sports is not a budgeted item, we just had a little bit left. I figured it would help with that as well, so. I'll stand for any questions.
Questions for the chief?
This doesn't change anything in the ordinance other than add back that you spend it on the youth program operations.
Yes, sir.
And youth programs is widely defined, I guess.
Yes, sir. So if it involves a kid, I would say it would meet youth programs, right? I mean, so far to date, the extra set of lights for Abilene came in yesterday afternoon. So we'll get those put up as soon as we can. So far it's purchased both sets of lights now for Abilene. We've got some listening to Ms. Baca. Maybe we can try to get the state to approve us to put one of the flashing speed slow down ones up there on North Main or something like that too.
So you need us just to make a motion to approve that, change that, right?
Well, it's an intent, we have to change we have to adopt the intent to, and then we'll do the ordinance in 30 days.
Well, you know how I feel about the youth program, so I'm ready to move on.
Can I make one comment?
Yes, please.
So in the packet on the council page, it's showing the different, it's showing youth sports. You have to go back, sorry. Youth sports and school resource officer, and then just at the bottom, it is showing just youth programs. You see the exact wording. Youth program operations. Do we need to have them match what the council packet says, or is it just because it's on me?
I'm
Or
not
since
sure.
we can correct that at the next meeting. So the change in red on page 71 is showing and youth program operations.
Right. Because that's the only change I proposed was under the administration, item E, and it would be to remove an and, move a comma, and then add another and with youth program operations. So.
Further comments, questions? Pleasure of the council on the intent to adopt our amendment to ordinance 765.
Wait for approval.
So
Motion by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Robinson. To intent to adopt an amendment to ordinance 765. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Next, we move to the water department. And the first item under that is the governing body's approval of attachment 3 design phase and attachment 6 amendment to number 2 to move forward with contract to start design for the Wellfield project WFP 6303. And I have Ms. Flores as presenting this.
Correct. Thank you, Mayor and Council. First, we wanted to discuss any of the questions that we had that came up the last council meeting, and we have Jennifer Hill with DBS&A to be able to accommodate to any of those questions or answers that need to be taken care of, as well as anything that pertains to the attachment for the design phase, as well as the attachment for amendment number 2. We're up for any questions as of right now.
Well, let me start with this. Ashley or Mr. Mitten, I know that a couple of counselors did submit some questions based on the comments and questions at the last meeting. Can we just go ahead and address those right up front?
I think that would be fine. Ms. Flores, would you like me to take and field those right now?
Yes, sir, that'd be wonderful.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and take a stab at this, and I have a list of questions here, so we'll knock some of these out and we'll go forward. So question 1 that I had was, what is the purpose and scope of the concrete tank? It's there's no concrete tank. I think that was kind of a misread, not a problem. The concrete and the concrete block structure was for the pump house, the BPS, booster pump station, et cetera. So that is to be made out of masonry and concrete. So it wasn't a concrete tank on that deal. So those would be, as we discussed earlier, above ground steel composite tanks, 1.5 million gallons. Okay. All right. So number 2, what is proposed? What is it proposed that the 1.5 million gallon tank is going to be a 3 million gallon tank? So it's 3 million gallons of stored water proposed in 2 1.5 million gallon tanks. As the proposal was outlaid in the scope of work, et cetera, it didn't match the potential funding that we will have ideally for that time frame. So it's recommended that we do an A&E design to initially in phase 2. Phase 1 is do the A&E. Phase 2 is to secure 1.5 million gallon composite tank above ground, with the capability of putting a second 1.5 million gallon tank in there for the total of 3 million gallons above ground as funding allows. So the initial bump of funding would put us in for 1.5 with the ability to put the second 1.5 in later years, 2025, 2026. Okay. And then let's see, we had a couple of questions. So there was a question that was fielded to me that's not necessarily on here, but it was, why would we enter in a loan on a 90-10 contract, 90% granted, 10% loaned? Why would we enter a loan at a 0.25 or 25% interest rate? That reads a little bit weird on the letter that supports that, but what it actually reads in the letter from the Water Trust Board is that is 0.25 of 1%. So we're actually at 0.0025, which comes out to an administrative fee. So the loans from the Water Trust Board are at 0%, but there's an added 0.0025 administrative fee, which comes out to about $894.40 in the first year, and it decrements a little bit as we pay out principal. So it's not a 0.25 or 25% loan, it's a 0.0025% interest rate for administrative fees on the loan, which comes out to less than $1,000 per year for the 20 years that we have the loan. That should answer that one. What has the city already invested in the well field on this proposal? So there's 3 items on here, and there's actually 4 items, and I'll try to explain them to the best of my ability. In 2019, the city invested $173,146 to do in the Blackwater well field to drop 2 test holes. So these aren't necessarily wells themselves, they're holes to see if the water perks that confirms the research that said water was there. So one of those is $173,146. Second item, in 2020, we had a well drilling project in the same well field to the tune of $1,295,818. That was to drop and put into service 4 wells. Those wells were put into service. The contractor and engineering firm was funded that amount of money. To date, 2 of those wells are still pumping well. No pun intended there. The other 2 kind of went dry. They collapsed on the bottom and they went dry. We're not sure what that is. But those wells, when they first opened, were pumping to the effect of 300 gallons per minute, which was very efficient. So we're happy to have the 2 functioning right now, but the other 2 aren't doing so well. But to the question, that was $1,295,818. Third item, 2021 well equipping project. So these weren't 4 replacement wells. This was outfitting and refitting 4 wells in the Blackwater well field and instrumenting them, putting instrumentation on them, radio transponders or whatnot to upload on it, have a SCADA system involved. So we do have some SCADA out there. We have some analog measuring devices and so on. But these were 4 wells fully outfitted with SCADA systems that allows Eric or Mr. Durham to monitor these in that methodology, as opposed to, say, dropping a line with a weight on the end of it to determine where the bottom of the well is in the water is. And that was the tune of $1,067,679. One other item that's not on my list, but we identified it today, there was a question out there, haven't we already done a geophysical survey of the Blackwater well field? Well, we were funded for a geophysical, it is geophysical, right? Yeah, so we were funded for a geophysical survey out there. And then when they went out there to take a look at it, they found burrowing owls, right? So that first report, burrowing owls, the state engineering office decided that they needed to defer that and do a archaeological survey. So that money that appeared to be for a geological survey that seemingly is replicated in this new proposed statement of work, that money was deferred. They did an archaeological survey that had to be done first. And then it was found what do you call it when you get a no fault or allowed to proceed. So everything was okay based on that archaeological survey. On paper, it appears that the geophysical survey was done. It wasn't. The money was deferred to do a archaeological survey. That was accounted for, and that's the fourth item. So the archaeological survey is complete. We still need a geological survey if we're going to do more well work out in that Blackwater, geophysical, excuse me, survey. So to the question of to date, the city is, what has the city spent? Those are the four items. I can't tell you exactly on the archaeological survey. I don't have that figure in front of me. Oh, the three items before were a total of $2,536,643. Okay. There's a fifth question. How will the proposed $10 million be allocated? We don't know. We have a list of 8 items proposed. We have to rank order those items and bring them to you and the way we best see fits the city. So we have 8 action items proposed on this. We need to figure out what we see as the closest target that we need to accomplish that best benefits the city. Find those items and how they fit in the $10 million. And we propose those, get your approval, and those items will be what the $10 million is spent on. We have a choice. I think it was discussed earlier. The way this is written is it's going to exceed $10 million. It's going to exceed the $3.5 million that we should already have access to or going to be granted. It's going to exceed that as well. So we have to take these 8 action items, break them down into phases, and then approach those. $3.5 million, then approximately $10 million. I think 12 is next, then 10 million. The next question, I believe, was why are we asked if money was awarded last year, why is there a need for more? They're honorable questions, but we're asking the same question different ways. My answer that I just said answers this question. So we have more items and more ways to spend money for this, not ways to spend it, but more things to spend money on than we have money for. So we have to break it down over years and phase it. So we will ask for money last year, this year, and next year to meet these 8 action items and to get these done if these are in the best interest and service the needs of the city. So that should answer that question there. Those are the ones on my list, and I'm subject to other questions. I think we're pretty well armed to answer questions.
Thank you, Mr. Mitton.
Hi. On the first page, 76 in our packet, the first paragraph there, list the award in a 90-10 grant loan, correct?
I'm not looking at page 76, so I'll say correct.
Okay, we got $3,218,521 for the grant, $357,614 in loans for the 90-10.
Yeah.
For a total of $3,576,135.
That sounds correct.
Okay, what is the number at the bottom of that paragraph where they want a verification of match of $536,420? What is that number?
I don't know. I'm not looking at that. I'm sorry. But I can certainly find out.
Okay.
And get an answer. So what I'll tell you is we do have the letter that, and Ashley might be able to weigh in on that because she's still in queue. But the letter from the Water Trust Board based on the proposed statement of work, delivery, and contract, that letter defines what the different numbers are for. And there's also a breakdown. There's a proposal of cost that goes along with that as well. And so that should answer that question, but I don't have that in front of me right now, but I'm sure it's there.
Okay, I was just curious if our loan part is 357,000, I was wondering why we were asked to show proof of match of 536,000.
$15 grand.
This grant is as written the way I read it a few hours ago was a 90-10.
Should be a 90-10.
It's a 90-10 according to the figures here, because we got a 303,576,000 and our part's 357,000, that's a 10%.
Right.
So I don't understand where the 536 comes from.
Yeah, again, I'm not looking at that right now.
Yeah, I understand.
536, 425, and 3,576.
May I say something?
Sure.
Of course.
Okay, so whenever we first did the applications back in 2023, they were proposed to request for up to 20 million. So based off of the information that they were going off of then and the breakdown of the of how like allocations could be spent as far as land acquisitions, environmental studies, project management, and so forth, there was a massive amount of numbers on there that were allocating to the 20 million. So once we had to do the readjustments for the new award letter to be able to allocate what we could actually accommodate as of the phase and design process right now, the 536,000, that is the city match that the city will have to upfront to be able to cover the cost of that part of the loan. I think I said that right. Sorry.
I guess I'm just still curious if we've got a $357,000 loan, why we need to show a match of 536,000.
I'm going to, I will look into that.
Thank you.
But in my hand, I do have the letter from the New Mexico Finance Authority, second revision. It talks about what the loan would be, what the interest rate would be, et cetera. And the bottom line figures are 357 million, wait, 3 million. Yes. And then our responsibility looks to be, it does show a verification match in the amount of 536,420. And I will look into it and find why that number is there as opposed to 10%.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think I'm also gonna have a problem voting to accept this proposal as an open-ended contract as time and materials and not a firm bid.
Anybody want to address that? Ms. Hill or?
Hi there. Yeah, we actually prefer to do design work. I mean, it depends on the type of work, but design work, yes, many times we do on a lump sum basis. So if that is the city's preference, to date, all the work that we've done for the city has been time and materials. So I guess we thought that was your preference.
I believe the last contract we had with you was a firm bid of 286,000 plus the taxes.
Well, it depends on which of the last ones you're talking about. I think you're right that the PER was a lump sum contract, but then the subsequent design, I think the subsequent design contract was a time and materials contract. So yeah, whatever you prefer for that.
I guess the difficulty I'm having is on your labor cost. On page 85 of our packet. It shows a sum of 220,000 for 1,508 hours, which is an average of $146 an hour, which comes to $300,000 a year per employee.
Sorry, yeah, you cut out a little bit for me, which comes to what was the last sentence?
that number of hours for the labor cost that you list averages $146 an hour, which would compute to a $300,000 a year salary for someone.
Okay, the proposal that, I don't have the council packet, so I'm not sure what you're looking at, but the cost proposal that we provided gives the man-hour breakdown with the labor rates.
Right.
Yeah, so you should have our rates.
I do.
If you have the full cost proposal, and then some of the cost of the contract is subcontractors, subconsultants to us.
Which would be under direct costs. Your subcontractors would be under other direct cost.
Right.
This is that you gave us of labor cost of $220,218 for 1,500 hours of work. If you compute that to an hourly salary, that's a $300,000 salary. Is that your average salary for your employees?
No, but the multiply, the billing rate to our clients is about 3 times the cost of the employee, and that's pretty much an industry standard. So the billing rates are given in the proposal.
And I saw those, but this is listed as labor costs, and that seems like quite a bit more than what the cost of the labor.
Well, it's not. It's just calculated based on the hours shown and the billing rate shown.
So you have employees that are making $200,000 a year, and then you're adding a percentage on top of that to equate 300,000.
No, I don't think anyone on this fee schedule makes that much.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it looks like, the average hourly billing rate is about, say, $130 an hour.
Yeah. Well,
So,
according to these figures from task 1 through 4, it comes up to $146 average, which averages out to $300,000 per employee.
okay, I'm not quite sure on the math that you're doing there, because the total labor amount is only $220,000 for this proposal.
I guess I'm saying for a labor cost, $146 an hour seems a little bit high for the cost of your labor.
Okay, I mean, those are our standard billing rates, so I'm not quite sure how to respond to that.
Okay. Any other questions now for any of our staff or myself?
I do have a question.
Okay.
So in the proposal, it's showing a 1.5 million gallon tank. And then later in the project information where it's requesting $10 million from the Water Trust Board, it also states that this is on page 104 of our package. Planning, designing, and construction to the secondary 3 million gallon tank. Transmission line, SCADA permitting, electrical service, construction management, and booster station of the Blackwater well field for the Palace residents and business. So in one area, we've got a 1.5 million gallon tank because of the lack of funds that we discussed the last meeting. And then this one, once again, is stating 3 million gallon tank. So I'm just curious as if we just didn't get something changed in our paperwork here, or if we're requesting a 3 million gallon tank or a 1.5 million gallon.
It doesn't cost us any more to design a larger tank. So the recommended water storage volume is 3 million gallons. it's a good idea for redundancy to split that into two tanks so that if you had a problem with one tank, you could do repairs on that tank while the other tank was in service. If you would prefer to have one 3 million gallon tank, we could design it that way.
Yeah, I guess where my question is in conversation with the Mexico Finance Authority, in other meetings, it was discussed about going back once this has been approved through the Water Trust Board. Going back and revising that, and it was told to me that it's not a good policy to try to do that. They've only done it once in their memory because it affects the way that it's scored when they award that money to you. And so if you go back and you change the scope of the project after you've been awarded it, then it could reflect a different score and be a disadvantage to those that did not receive it. So what I'm getting at is you're saying that, you know, it doesn't cost as much to plan and design a 3 million gallon tank as it does 1.5, whatever. But in the terminology and in the wording of our application to the Water Trust Board, I think that it needs to state the same what we're actually asking for. If we're going to go for a 1.5 million gallon tank, then it needs to state that.
Well, if the funding, right, if you're applying for funding for construction, right, it matters. So, you know, there's been a lot of volatility in pricing, right? So whatever our estimate was a couple years ago when we did the PER, we fully anticipate that when we bid whatever we design, that the cost is going to be higher, right? So I guess our thinking was we designed it in such a way that you could bid it with bid alternates, then that kind of covers the city when your pricing comes in.
And may I weigh in?
Please do.
So
Sure.
if the word was changed from tank to facility, I don't think we would be discussing it. When this is the way it's envisioned and when it's completed, this will be a 3 million gallon, I can't speak. Gallon.
Yeah, water storage. Yeah, of 3 million gallons of water storage.
Got it.
You
Thanks.
know,
And
yeah.
it will be secured. There'll be fences, there'll be anti-intrusion devices, there'll be monitoring and SCADA as well to measure. So with for all intents and purposes, we're looking at a 3 million gallon, sorry, I'm articulating because I'm having trouble talking. I don't know why. Too much coffee, maybe. Storage facility. We use the word tank, but it's a facility. We have a requirement, standing requirement to have about 12 million gallons of stored water. We have the capability right now to do about 9. But according to FEMA and other sources, we need about 12. And we need this to take some weight, so to speak, off of the wellheads and the pumps and the lines that we have already. So I think there's no argument that we need this. I think we're to not minimize any thoughts. And I think these are great questions, great thoughts, but we're almost at a happy to glad moment as far as verbiage. And I understand your point, but I also understand that we need, for water resiliency in the future, we need some safeguard things greater than we already have. And one of those safeguards is redundancy. And I firmly believe, as far as we go forward in the future as water resiliency, it's better to have 2 1.5 million gallon tanks, because when I do maintenance on a 3 million gallon tank, that whole tank is offline. But I can stagger maintenance. One of them could go offline, they can get a hole in it, anything could happen, and I still have redundancy and resiliency. So if I were asked my preferences at this moment, I would say that the 1.5 million gallons.
Two times 1.5 million.
To make a 3 million gallon facility is a great option, but it also gives me scalability. So as money comes in, I can scale this and get 1.5 when I have that money and put in phase 2 or 3, in this case 2 and 3, I can build to those $3 million. So I think the intent for every question is honorable and good, but I think we're in a better position to call it a water storage facility to the tune of 3 million gallons, as opposed to maybe getting perceivably hung up on a 3 million gallon vice 1.5 million gallon tank. Now, to the Water Trust Board's concerns, if it's a facility, I don't think there's any argument that we're changing scope or not changing scope. I think we're in the same ballpark because our goal is to get 3 million gallons of water.
And I agree with what you just said. My whole point of bringing that up was the fact that we don't want to have to go back and amend something because of the way it's worded in the application. So we need to make sure that that is correct whenever we submit.
100%. I'm in agreement.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of that, Ashley, do you have your packet in front of you, page 98?
Page 98.
That's what I have, yes, page 98. Says column 2, project information. Project name, Portales Water Storage System Improvements, $10 million.
Yes, sir.
So on the description, you have project location 400 East Lime Street, Portales. I would think that would be pretty important that we need to clarify. We're talking about Blackwater, not East Lime Street, correct?
This is
Correct. That is for the NOI. It has nothing to do to the application. The application process is more intent to detail. This is just for the NOI to be able to have access to and able to be able to start the application process for the applications. The description on the project goal, it just gives an idea. It's nothing set in stone because everything can change in the application process.
So this is
notice
East.
intent.
So this isn't, we're not saying we're gonna put this money on East Lime Street, is what I'm, or the Lime Street is what I'm getting at.
Well, the boosters, the storage tank for Lime Street is on Lime Street in Boston.
$10 million for renovation of the tank plus the booster pump building and enhancement, security upgrades.
Yes, that is for the construction for the Lime Street tank to be rehabilitated for the U project.
Okay, so then eventually we will have another booster out there in the Blackwater. Different phase, I guess.
So 2 different topics, if I may. So with the 3 million gallon storage facility composed of 2 tanks, I'm going to try to stop talking about gallons here in a minute. But with the 2 tanks, 1.5 each, there's proposed to have a booster station there.
Okay.
So the idea is we're putting a lot of pressure on wellheads. Wellheads are pumping water out of the ground and pushing it 6.2 miles to Johnston Hill storage facility, or Johnson Hill, depends on how long you want to go back for the moniker there. So we want to take that pressure off. So to your question, yes, in phase 2 or 3, there will be 2 tanks, secured, monitored, skated, and have a booster station there.
Okay.
The other booster station that you're talking about, we were talking about, was a full renovation of the booster station at Lime Street. That's been in since the 50s or 60s. We've got about 60 plus years use out of that. We're going to we propose completely rebuilding that. And then same thing with the tank. Now, those are 2 different contracts, and 2 different proposals. But that tank, we got about 60 plus years out of it. And we're looking at doing a complete renovation, same as if you tore down the sides of a house and rebuild it. We're doing that with the tank. That's our proposal. Same thing with the booster pump station.
Okay.
Separate but similar in the same space, complete tear down, remodernization, and we're looking at getting 60 plus years out of that as well. I hope
Thank
that
you.
clarifies your question.
Yes, very much
Okay.
so. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. So the question at hand right now is the approval of attachment 3, design phase, and attachment 6, amendment number 2, to move forward with contract and start design for well prep project WFP 6303. Then these other 2, 3 are coming after that.
I just have one objection still going forward with this. This is coming to us as an amendment to an existing contract, right?
I understand.
Of $286,000, and we're increasing it to over 500,000 additional funds with an open-ended contract, and I just don't think it's good to have the city's exposure to something that we don't know exactly what it's going to cost.
Are we still open for comments from the field?
Please.
Okay, so in this case, I mean, I understand your concern, but we're talking about an A&E design. And then a time and material on A&E. I mean, there's some correlation and I get it, but materials for an A&E, I don't know. I mean, I know why time and materials contracts are there. And I know that prices fluctuate more for materials than labor. But on an architect or an A&E design, that doesn't scare me as much. Now, I'm not trying to compel you, but if we were talking about steel, aluminum and things like that, I would be a little more hesitant. But on drafting, engineering, going forward with geophysical surveys, et cetera, that doesn't seem as scary to me. So on the A&E thing, we're talking about, a total of $3.57 million with our contribution match that I told you I'd get you some more information on, to the tune of $350,000, I think is what it is. That doesn't seem too scary to me for an A&E on phase one.
Well, just the initial contract is the same type work, exact same design work is what we're talking about here at a fixed number. I'm just wondering why this contract couldn't have also been a fixed number where we know where we're at.
And I would defer a few minutes ago to, oh gosh darn, DBSNA's comments on, it was assumed that that's how we wanted it, and it is a standard business practice for contracts of this scope, but that's what's on the table.
I just don't think I can vote for the city with an open contract.
Okay. Further questions? What's the pleasure of the council regarding this amendment and attack?
I do.
Okay,
And one of the first one. We've got a project information for $1.5 million. This doesn't have anything to do with DBSNA. This is.
well, we get that put up on another item with it. If we resolve this one, that would be the next one, I believe, or one of the next two, I thought. We get 3 items on those accounts after we resolve this issue. Or at least that's the way I'm reading the agenda.
We're on the first one on the Wellfield project.
With regard to the DBSNA amendments. So let's get that one, and then we'll go to the one you're, I think that's the next one up. If I was looking at this right. Okay. So what is the council's pleasure on the DBSNA contract?
Make a motion to approve the DBA contract for design for the well project. WFP 6303.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
A motion by Ms. Cordova, a second by Ms. Parker. I think we'll do a roll call vote here, please.
Yes, sir. Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Davis, Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Yes.
yes,
Yes. Yours.
thank you. Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Reckler is absent, sorry about that. Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Self,
No.
5-2, the motion passes. All right, now then, the governing body's approval of ratification of Mayor Miller's signature on the notice of intent for access for Enable to apply for a 2026 Water Trust Board loan grant funding for wastewater treatment plant improvements. Maybe this is where you had a question, Mr. Merritt.
Yes.
Does anybody want to front this real quick before Mr. Merrick asks questions?
Yes, so this is a NOI for the Water Trust Board for funding for 2026 in the Lime Street tank construction in regards to the rehabilitation of the Lime Street tank booster station.
Hold on just a minute. I think the first one we're dealing with is the wastewater treatment plant.
Oh, my apologies. I had the wrong one in front of me. That was my fault.
No worries.
Okay, okay, so y'all already know that we are in out of compliance for the wastewater treatment plant. So this is to begin the process to move forward to update and incorporate advanced treatment technologies and pursue for the potable reuse permit, the future well-filled recharge following the restoration of the compliance with the current NMED. We are requesting up to $1.5 million into getting the process going for the construction, or sorry, plan and design for the wastewater treatment plant.
Okay, sure.
All right. So we're out of compliance with the wastewater treatment plant.
Correct.
We look at even thinking about trying to do well-filled recharge and reuse, we've got to get back into compliance. We've got to get to where we can use this water for the uses that it was intended to before we ever get to the phase of well-filled recharge. And so that's where I've got the problem with requesting money from the state again for something that we're not ready for. We need to be looking at, if we're going to request this money, that it's to change the plan to the point that it's got an automated screen wipe thing on it for the grate that you were talking about, or something like that, not for well-filled recharge.
Okay, that's something I can take out of there. I just went off of the corrective action plan that Wilson and Company provided for us. So I was just taking bits and pieces from their corrective action plan to ensure that I put this in the project description. But whenever the proceed with the application, I can definitely make sure that the wording is correct.
And will the application come back to us before it's submitted?
Yes, we get final review of the application. I can definitely take it back to council by September 2nd, if that is intended.
I believe that to make sure that the things that we need done are in as part of that application.
Yes.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
As I say, the signature on the NOI gives us basically the key to get into the system to start putting what we need in the system. So it just gives us the key to the database kingdom, if you will. And then we have a time frame that allows us to get the right stuff in there and request it. But there's little doubt that we need funding to get back in compliance and change some of the hardware that we have at our facility.
And I know that all these projects take quite a bit of money. In the project description, it does show following the restoration of the compliance with the current NMED. Wouldn't that suffice for getting that done first? And then if there's more money available, which I'm sure there's not going to be, then we could use that for the potable reuse permit and the well-filled recharge.
I believe that what you just said is fairly accurate. And I believe that we'll know, I will know more honestly by this time tomorrow.
Okay.
So
or we can make this a phased project, and we can, moving forward every year, focus on specific parts of how we want to move forward. Yes, we are requesting up to 1.5 million, but if say we just want to do 500,000 just to get up and go and get in compliance, we can do that. 2027 rolls around, we can ask for the more funding in regards to what is going to be compliant at that time, depending on what phase process we are. If it's plan and design, plan and construct, just construction, I mean, it goes a long ways. It's not just one time application. We can apply every single year.
Right. And maybe this is the appropriate time. I was going to do it in my comments, but I got a call from Congressman Ledger Fernandez, and she was able to get us $1.8 billion for the wastewater treatment plant repairs and improvements. In this year's funding cycle, depending on Congress passing the budget. Congress passes the budget, we have $1.8 million to add to this as well. Further questions?
Mr.
on
Mayor?
this one? Yes, sir.
This project description also says we're doing the planning and designing phase. Are we talking engineering cost there again?
I think when you put these in notices of intent,
Mhm.
you know, even like for capital outlay projects, you include anything that you might want. Plan, design.
Yes, that is correct.
You go across the board at this particular time, and then you get
Okay.
technical in the final.
The only reason I ask is when we had the New Mexico Finance Authority here the other day, they gave us the indication that if we needed help with engineering costs, that they would take care of those for free.
Okay.
Is that true? Can we qualify for that if we're qualifying for a 90-10 grant?
I don't know, but we can find the answer to that pretty easy.
Okay.
May I comment, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir, please.
That exactly right. During the EPCOG meeting and when the NOFA, I believe it was, representative was here, said that was one of the things available. But I would argue that that's as much as we know right now. I don't know the wait list or the turnaround time or the queue or any of those types of things. So I think all of those are relevant and we'll do some discovery on those things as well. But there's, again, I'm going to repeat myself. There's little doubt that we need funding to go forward and fix the wastewater treatment plant. And at this point, we're asking for this, what I would consider minimal fee to go forward with A&E design based on the corrective action plan to get some stuff started. Objects in motion remain in motion.
Further questions? With pleasure, the council on this particular notice of intent for access.
I move that we approve the notice of intent for access.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Robinson, second by Mr. Lopez. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The next is the governing body's approval of ratification of Mayor Miller's signature on the notice of intent for access for Enable to apply for 2026 Water Trust Board loan grant funding for storage system improvements. Ms. Flores.
You're on mute, Ms. Flores.
Ashley, there we go.
There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so this is for the Lime Street Take Rehab Project, aims to enhance the rehability and influency of the city's water infrastructure through the comprehensive self-improvements of the construction of the rehab of the existing water station, booster building enhancement, security upgrades, backup power installation, and master meter replacement. I know we already need to fix the address. As far as anything else, any wording, we can get back to, and we are requesting up to $10 million, depending on what we need to ask for. It can be whatever is on the bid process, and I have that already too, and that's looking up to be first phase up to, as of right now, it's a little over $8 million, so that's why we're requesting up to 10 in regard to inflation and anything else by 2026.
Questions for Ms. Flores, Mr. Mitten, others?
So are we going to include this Lime Street address as well as Blackwater?
What's another?
That's a different- So why would we need to change the address? If we're focusing on this project?
I didn't put Boston. It has to be the adjoining streets.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Not a problem.
Further questions? Pleasure to council.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Cordova, second by Ms. Parker. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. And finally, Ms. Flores. Governing body's approval of ratification of Mayor Miller's signature of the notice of intent for access for Enable to apply for 2026 Water Trust Board loan grant funding for well field improvements.
Correct. As discussed before, pretty much for plan and design and construct. I think this one's gonna be mainly planning and construct, so that design, but again, like Mayor Miller stated earlier, we're kind of going for all of it in one, just in case. I know I need to fix the wording to go to 3 million gallon tank to 1.5 million gallon. I'll make sure to put that on the application process correctly. And same thing as a moving forward, we're requesting up to $10 million just to kind of keep the process going to improve and construct the well field. Any
And I
further
think
questions?
the wording, you could still say 3 million gallon storage facility, not tank.
Okay, storage facility. Okay,
Questions for Ms. Flores, Mr. Mitten, or anyone else?
Mr. Mayor, I had a question.
Yes, sir.
So this is identifying what we're asking for, right to the point. We
No.
can't deviate.
No, not this.
Not this.
no, not this.
The application will.
The application will.
Yeah, this one will. This isn't the application.
Okay.
All right. Further questions? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the council on this notice of intent?
For approval.
Motion by Mr. Barker, second by Mr. Robinson. There's no further questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. Okay, Mr. Mitten, you're up. Governing body's approval of memorandum of understanding between the city of Portales and Roosevelt County Electric Cooperative.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you. Today I'm seeking an approval for a memorandum of understanding between the city of Portales and Roosevelt County Electric Cooperative. I know that you have or should have the actual proposed MOU in front of you. I'll go through the highlights. The MOU was basically to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the two organizations so that we can combine powers to conduct research for future water resiliency using the technologies and the expertise and the data between the two organizations. The key points are one, the goal is to partner and assess future water needs for the city of Portales, leveraging shared data to plan infrastructure and secure sustainable water supplies. The responsibilities of the city based in this MOU is to share data on water production, storage, and infrastructure with RCEC, and to share long-term infrastructure goals, as well as not having any obligation whatsoever to purchase water or anything else from RCEC. The key benefits to the city are one, water security, access to potential new water sources without immediate financial commitment. It allows someone else to use our data and their combined data with respect to privacy of the citizens, of course, and financial data to use our data, their data, and their technology to look for water sources, et cetera. The impact of the community, it demonstrates our proactive, Ms. Baca, approach to resource management, addressing negative perceptions about Portales water supply, and tackling a critical issue collaboratively by entering into a public-private understanding or partnership. Safeguards or terms to the city. The duration of this memorandum of understanding would be 3 years. Data privacy, neither party may share data without written consent from the other. Legal protections include conflict of interest safeguards written within the document, compliance with New Mexico Governmental Conduct Act, and provisions for amendments only in writing. There's a blackout clause or backout clause if necessary. If either party determines they need to back out for any reason, they provide a written reason to the other, and with written consent, they back out of the agreement. There's no obligation financially by the city. We only share data in our best interest. Risk and considerations, there's minimal financial risk, as I mentioned, but staff time may be required to supply data. This ensures robust data privacy protocols are in place so that we don't share constituents' data and financial data or misuse it whatsoever. That's the content basically of the memorandum of understanding. I'm seeking your approval so that we can move forward and seek signatures from both
the mayor and the RCEC body. Subject to your questions.
One question, so if, for any reason we have to back out of this, it doesn't give a time frame. Like normally in MOUs, I've seen like with 30 days. Does that matter?
I don't know if it matters. I might refer to Ms. Rudd.
So
Counselor.
the person who asked for a termination clause in there, because as RCEC originally proposed it, it had no provision in that. The way that Mr. Minton proposes it is we would just provide written termination. The other thing that I think is really important to keep in mind about an MOU, it's not a contract. It's a memorandum of understanding. And so when we talk about being bound by it, enforceability of it, the enforceability of it is to share data. Right. And that's what the crux of the agreement is. And so I know we're all a little bit hesitant when it comes to contracts that we get into and the termination of them. But as the memorandum is written, it is not a contract. We are not entering into it as a contract. Our understanding of it is that it is not a contract and it can be terminated upon written termination. And so there would be no time frame of that. We would have the written termination, we would provide it to them, and then upon receipt of it, we would be dissolved of our obligation.
Further questions? Questions, council?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Merritt, second by yourself. No further questions. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Our last action item is discussion and action on possible schedule conflict for the September 16th, 2025 council meeting. That is the kind of the unofficial first day of the New Mexico Municipal League Conference. The events to take place that day, and then the actual workshops begin on Wednesday. And it's my understanding that several of the council have indicated they are going to be attending that. So we can move that meeting forward or backwards. We're meeting on September 2nd. Me, I don't know that there's any obligations. I won't be here on Monday. Got an obligation with the executive committee, but nothing officially starts until Tuesday. So we can either meet the next week or prior. And our first meeting will be September 2nd.
If we move it to the next week, won't we have another city council meeting the week right after?
That's our last meeting in September.
Okay, got it.
So we could move it to the next week and be the next Tuesday be September 23rd.
Okay.
Is there any objection to doing that?
No.
Okay, could I get a motion?
I move that we move the meeting to the 23rd.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion that we reschedule the September 16th meeting to September 23rd. Have a motion in a second. There's no further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. 9:23, 5:30. All right, that brings us to council staff comments. I'm going to start with the staff in the back of the room. Chief Williams.
Just reiterate that we got those school zone lights. But it'll be here. That's what it said.
Okay.
Other than that. Everybody's out there working.
Chief Cat.
I'm gonna try to speak from here to just really quickly, since our last council meeting, your fire department has ran 108 total calls for service, 88% with EMS and 12% with fire. The average response time during that time frame was 19.6 minutes, which was appalling upon initial glance. But then after review, the main two causes of that were 24% of our total calls were outside the city limits with a further response time. We had a further distance, as well as 29% overran when our response capability couldn't keep up. We have 2 open positions with 3 applicants. We're testing this Friday and Saturday. Friday is the exams, and Saturday is the physical agility and interviews. Anybody can attend if you'd like to. We've scheduled an open house at our Station 2 for August 30th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon for all the community that would like to come by. We currently have 2 students at EMT Basic, 1 in intermediate and 2 in paramedic, and several that are waiting national testing.
Thank you. And it'd be kind of fun to go watch the physical too. I've done it, but it was a long, long time ago.
I don't believe it's changed.
I believe I have quite a bit. Dispatch.
Yes, we have 2 openings right now. We have 1 resigned and had been there for a week and a half, so we're doing interviews. I did interviews today and tomorrow, so they'll get this filled up. I have 1 in the New Mexico Telecommunications Academy getting certified right now. When she's done, we will have 7 total that are certified, including themselves, with only 2 certified.
Ms. McVeigh.
We have a town hall tomorrow night at the Well. That we are doing with NMDOT and Bohannon Huston. This is for our pedestrian bike path and our community involvement. So it's a come and go event. It starts at 5. So everyone is welcome to come until 7 o'clock. There will be snacks and drinks.
Okay. Thank you. Mr. Mendoza.
I'd like to just mention that we have 6 open spots in the water department as of right now. Finance helped us get a couple more positions open, so we'll see what those job descriptions look like in the near future.
Okay. Mr. Chav.
Starting in March, we'll be doing the parking lot paving at the softball complex.
Okay.
So they'll start that. We're waiting for information back from the engineers on South Avenue K-Cell to see if it falls within budget.
Okay.
And then we're 40% done on the capital outlay and TPF. But I spoke with the city manager and Veronica a little bit. We may need to switch gears on that. We do some mill fields instead of practicing.
It wasn't the TPF money though for maintenance?
Yes, but we could do mill field, I mean.
Okay. Good. I just thought we could do overlays on maintenance.
Yeah, some of the roads aren't staying very good.
Okay.
So switch gears, we won't do as many roads. They can stand up better.
Okay, thank you.
And then we'll get our roll-off truck by the end of the month. Our 2 garbage trucks will be here October, November at the latest. And right now in our departments, we got 12 openings.
Yeah.
12, Steve?
Yes, sir. Okay. So that's between sanitation, streets, parks.
Thank you. Are you going to speak for HR? Okay. About libraries. All right. HR.
No updates, just with the new budget, we were able to have more positions made available, which makes the appearance of more positions that we do have. But hopefully with those positions being opened and budgeted for, we'll be able to encompass more assistance to be able to get the job done even better than we have.
I'll come back to you last.
Okay.
Okay. Ms. Rivera, first of all, thanks for being here. I know you've had some issues and we're glad you're here. Shows your dedication. You have anything you would like to bring to us?
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. Ms. McClellan.
Obviously, I have things to say. Just 2 quick ones. Code enforcement, job review ended, so we've been interviewing and we had a massive response to the open code enforcement job. So it's really nice to see the community wanting to get involved in that. And we'd like to help cleaning it up. So my staff has done such a great job of helping me with ordinances that I rewarded them with, we're starting another one. So we are starting the building ordinance, which covers our dilapidated buildings, a lot of stuff like that. It needs pretty much completely redone. But we've had a lot of luck with the little subcommittees, which Ms. Rhodes having called special committees. That are PMZ, city council and staff all working together to completely redo the ordinance. Ms. Baca and Mr. Watkins have volunteered from PMZ to sit on that special committee. So I'm thinking 1 or 2, preferably members of council who'd like to sit on that committee to get that ordinance done.
So if you're interested, let her know, please. Thank you.
Yeah.
From the clerk's office.
We don't have anything really going on. We're looking forward to the fall when we'll be doing a lot of our traveling for classes. Clerks Institute is coming up in October, so we'll be doing that. And then we are participating because HR assisted us. We are getting a better quality and a larger call of applicants for potential drivers for PATS. So we're down to 2 drivers only, and it kind of complicates things. So we're looking forward to hopefully getting some better applicants to review, and we look forward to that.
Thank you. Ms. Red? Mr. Mitt?
Well, gosh darn, thank you. And I don't mind going last. I rather like it. But one of the things I want to bring up right here is for the public section of the room. Thank you for being here. This is government in action. And I love that you're here, and going forward, if I could fill every seat there and the ones up front, I would certainly love to do so. So as an ask to you, ask others to come with you, come here, see how it works, and be part of it, and be part of the process, and don't be afraid to get up there and say your piece at the microphone. We all learn a lot from it. That being said, some takeaways. When you hear about our vacancies and things like that, 12 in Public Works, 6 in another shop, go out there and help us help you. Solicit some people, let them know that we're hiring, and help get the right kind of people in the right kind of places so that we can do more good work like I believe you saw this evening. So going forward, I have a list of things to do. I'm not going to cover them all, but under some of the things that we've talked about, council talking with me via the counselor. The last couple of weeks since you last saw me, still been working on relationship building between the council and the city employees, as well as relationship building between the city and community leaders. In the last couple of weeks, I told you before that some of the places I've visited in the last couple of weeks, I've been out to the university, talked to Dr. Johnston, got a good feel for his way ahead in his next 5 to 20-year plan and what he plans on doing as far as growth. Now, why that's important is we're going to incorporate his growth with our intended growth plan. So we're mandated to have a 20-year comprehensive plan for the municipality. We got to keep in mind what they plan on doing so that we know what we're doing in the future. If you don't have a plan, you don't have direction. Without direction, we can't do the stuff that you need to do. So we're getting after those types of things. In the last 2 weeks, again, meeting Dr. Johnston, Miss Perky, Jody Diaz, getting their vision, their ideas for ways ahead, et cetera, and pulling those into the framework of our municipality. And I'm really enjoying it. And I think we can get a very forward and positive direction out of that with a combined effort and combined vision. Miss Liliana is back, treating her with kid gloves a little bit right now, but so integral to the team. And I'm so happy to have her back because, you know, I've been kind of flailing through the budget process without her. But now that she's here, I'm looking forward to a very steep power curve and learning the budget of the city as well. And that was one of my tasks. I think that was self-evident this evening on the level of quick and rapid learning from all of the team together collectively to talk about water and to a certain extent wastewater. And that was on a to-do list. Meeting some of our own teammates. I spent a significant amount of time with Mr. Chavez in the Public Works Department, going through equipment, going through facilities and warehouses, getting an idea on how that operation is working, but also getting some collective ideas on where we need to be in the future with that. And he and I discussed some of the things, and that lends kind of into the trash concept, which we know is one of the things that kind of afflict the city. If someone asked me, hey, name 3 things that the city's struggling with right now, well, I would say water, including wastewater, potholes, and trash. And I don't think we'd be far off target. So what I can tell you is we're getting after those things, collecting data right now. I'm on a steep learning curve with those things, but I have a pretty good idea on where we need to go and some of the things we can do in the future with those. And I'm looking forward to laying those out, giving the public and the council timelines and what we see as pro forma perceived budgets to get after those things so that we can put some goals on the wall and get after them and get those things done. Subject to your questions.
Okay, thank you.
My pleasure.
I will go down to council. I'll start with you, Mr. Davey. Mr. Lopez.
Well, you said you're going to try and fix all the potholes. That's what I was doing bingo.
No, I said there's 3 problems in a nutshell. We'll fix them all if we can, but there's a lot of them. Well, let's see what we can do.
Anyway, the wood chipper, are you guys going to fix it?
It works where we can get our roll-off truck back.
Well, I don't really care about that. I'd say for you guys that want to fix it.
It's not broke.
Now it's broke because it's not being used.
We have no room to use it right now.
He needs the roll off so they can put the chips in the roll off to get it out of here. It works.
Yes,
There's
Mr.
nowhere to
Lopez,
put-
so
Nowhere to put the chips right now, Jake.
I went out with Mr. Chavez. We looked at equipment that's serviceable and not serviceable. What I could tell you is the shredder, the wood chipper, is serviceable. But we have to get it to the place that we need it. So we're looking at being able to get it on the roll off and get it to the convenience center to be able to do those types of things.
You got a bunch of space out there
I do.
that you put all the containers so you can just back up in there, but you know what's happening? We're backing up in there with a loader of trailer loaded with wood, I mean, and all kinds of stuff, and the people are throwing it up there
Yeah.
instead of having the chipper right there where we can just throw it in the ground. And people are going to get hurt. And I know because I was out there helping my son there and I was backing the trailer up for him. They had to get on top of the trailer to be able to throw it into that. And that's not good when you have a chipper that should be being used over there.
That's a
I
valid
know you're
observation.
just
Yes.
new. But I know you got a lot of room out there. Don't say you don't have no room. Cause man, it's a whole field almost up there. It's nice and pretty. Well, anyway,
I promise you, take a look at it and get some feedback for you.
that's one of the things I talked to you today and I couldn't get to talk to you. So.
That wasn't by design, I promise.
Anyway, code enforcement, you know, those brand new apartments that we have in the north. You said you're gonna do something about that. There's big piles of weeds with a big piles of dirt and the weeds on top of the dirt. And they're growing like 3 or 4 feet. When are they going to clean it?
Let me follow up with you and see where they're at in their cleanup process.
It's on West Fork.
I know which ones you're talking about, the ones where it used to be like the old B&B.
Yes.
Yeah, let me follow up with that and we'll give you send you an email or give you a call.
I'd like to ask Ms. Buck a question. You talked about the yield sign, where are you talking about that yield sign in the north?
Talking about the curve, whenever you're on Main Street, right, it also heading towards the Bethel Highway. There is a.
Over the Bethel Highway, I thought you were talking about the.
That's the way going towards the Bethel Highway,
On Main Street,
on Main Street.
They extended the fence.
where the fence is
Yes,
at.
And that resident, he's in ordinance. So we can't do anything with that. We need to talk about.
That's state highway, you gotta go through state highway.
That's a state highway anyway, but it's still dangerous.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's state or city, whatever, something needs to be done with it because citizens are just flying through the ones that do not have a stop sign and the other ones have to freak up. So there's gonna be an accident and I hope it's not a death.
Yes, ma'am. I wish I know.
Anything else, Mr. Wilkins?
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Sutherland.
Yeah, I've got a company, Aquafalts. They're gonna be in the area possibly next week, the 28th or 29th. Don't have. Okay.
Yes, okay. Sorry.
You took my.
Let's
try to help.
You just because your sister was helping me first.
Well, she told me about it too. She didn't tell me what you, so.
Go ahead and tell everybody else.
Okay, Aquafalt is, it's a premixed product that it comes in a bucket and you pour it out and they use it in NASCAR. It's widely used around municipalities, but the Department of Transportation for New Mexico purchased it in a bulk setting. It's a great product, put it out, tamper it, water it down, and you're ready to drive over it. Great product. Don't know if it would be of interest, but I think it would be worthwhile to get a meeting with them. They're willing to do a demo and give you some free product. So I know there was a new product that's like made out of lime.
Yes.
Did that work okay? I never really heard any
Yes, it
feedback on
works
it.
better than the cones.
It does work better.
What's it for?
For the road.
Yes. That was like a unified voice. Everybody said potholes, like we were in church.
It's my understanding they're available next Thursday or Friday. Is there gonna be a Cooper area, they're gonna be in the area?
28th or 29th. And I've got a phone number if you didn't already share.
No, I didn't share that.
Okay, I'll share it with you, Mr. Mix.
Got it. Yes, a bug, a bird was in my ear that there was a company called Aquaphones. And they were available around Thursday, but I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. You gave me more detail. That's
it.
So, Mr. Robbins.
Rustin just took my thunder, because I was gonna ask the same question about the alcohol company. But anyway, potholes is a system that we need to take care of, problem we have. It maybe this one that he's producing to us right now might be one we want to look into. I think it might be an instant solution, because I looked at some of the overlays, the potholes are still there. We just have a cover over the potholes. And I think that we probably should figure out a way to fill the potholes before we cover them. And because you go down the roads, they're still bumpy because the potholes are there. And if you go on North Avenue B, when you cross the Floyd Highway, that water is gonna, as it come right back through, we're gonna have potholes there again. So I drive my school bus across that every day. And I said, oh, here come the holes again. And we just had a Band-Aid approach to fixing the roads. I think we'll do a better job of fixing the roads if we're gonna fix them.
I appreciate that comment, and I think that Mr. Chavez weighed in a little bit on that about the not drill and fill, but the grind and fill. Mill and fill concept. We are mapping out. I talked to Mr. Chavez a few weeks ago about making maps on the roads and categorizing the roads and the potholes. Which ones need to be milled and filled to make them correct, which ones can be filled with a alternative product, and which ones can just have a topical overlay and they'll be okay. I mean, the fact of the matter is you can't take a very thin layer of any product and put it on a bad road and make it a good road. That's not going to work. So some of them are going to have to well, this is kind of, I don't know, just bear with me. I was explaining to my wife about the roads. I said, it's kind of, some of them are kind of like a root canal, and you might have just saw me drag my tongue across my teeth. You're looking at me, but sometimes you have to grind down the stuff to get to the base to build it up for it to be good. You can't just keep filling it. So at some point, you have to tear it down and start from the base. And we're going to identify those roads. It'll be slow going. It'll be expensive, but it'll also be what's required. And that's just the bottom line, and we'll get there. But you know, you can tell by sitting in these meetings. And again, I'm gonna say how proud I am of the community for being here. You're watching government work, and those questions are, why can't we do this and why can't we do that? Well, we can do it all, but it's going to take a process. It's going to take time, and it's also going to take patience. And we're getting after it, and that's our collective promise to you.
Don't forget funding.
Well. That funding, but you know, the funding, I mean, that's a great point. When you look at it, the funding is out there, but we are prioritizing, right? So my task is to get after water resiliency first and roads. But that water resiliency, I would argue, is the thing we're focusing on now. And then wastewater treatment, because that's part of water resiliency. And when we get to that thing, when it's on glide, and it doesn't necessarily happen 1, 2, 3, it can happen concurrently, but we're making great strides right here. And then I promise you, as a team, we're getting after the roads and the trash. It's going to take a little bit of time, but we'll keep you posted on what that is and what our step and what our approach is too. So I appreciate your comments. You are not in any way wrong. You're 100% right. You can't put a thin, easy fix on a bad road. It'll just be a pretty bad road.
I have one more, I guess it's a complaint on roads again.
That's okay.
God had us, gave us a lot of water, rain the other day.
Yes.
And we got, and it is exposing our drainage system. And I'm a gentleman in my neighborhood named Mr. Pete Trujillo. Water is sitting right in his yard every day, because the one road is this high and the other is low. He has a swimming pool in front of his yard. And I mentioned something about
maybe we ought to look into a French trench. And.
Yeah,
and-
French
and-
Canal, yes.
And put those in. Maybe we ought to look at the feasibility of putting French trenches in where these holes are, where these low spots are. Maybe that would resolve it. I think people appreciate it if somebody would just come by and look at his particular place. Cause his front yard is full of water. It's because of the road. And I mentioned that we ought to look at a French trench for that particular property, but nothing has been done about it.
I understand your comment. I would give you this. I don't think the city was ready for as much rain as we've had. I think that's evident in the lack of maintenance in the past. We prioritized some other things over the potential of heavy rains coming in. We do have plenty of runoff spaces. We do have areas to hold water. Unfortunately, those haven't been maintained, and we're gonna have to maintain them. And it is sad, and we are taking an objective look at it. We do owe the state and the city a master drainage plan. We owe a stormwater drainage plan and a master drainage plan, and that plan is good. The plan is good, and when you lay it in there, an engineer will tell you that plan it works based on gradient of slope, the containment of the Joe, help me, what's the name of it when you make a pond to hold it, but it's not retention, it is a detention pond. Those work too, but they only work as good as you maintain them, and we weren't maintaining them. And so we have hardwood growth in some of them, we have tall weeds in them, and so they're not working the way they're supposed to. So that gives us another thing to put on our list of things to do, which is cut the trees down, mow out the grass, drag through it with excavators, etc. Whatever the technique, tactic, and procedure is to get that done. We've got to do that first, sir. And when we do those things, the drainage may or may not work. And then we'll take into consideration the application of things like French canals in strategic areas. But even that French canal would be part of the master stormwater plan or the master drainage plan.
Thank you. Well, Ms. Parker.
Yes, my question that I ask every single time, I'm sorry, the street sweepers. Where are we on that? Are we still having plans to do the street sweeping, and our street sweepers good, right? And you're ready to go, but we're waiting till we get the streets.
Yeah.
Done. Okay.
What about operators?
Could I ask why? Because I mean, if we already have some, we're 40% complete, is that right? We already have 40% of the streets done.
We don't have anybody we can put on account right now.
So that's the reason, okay, that's the reason why, because I have a lot of people asking, don't we have a street sweeper? Yes, we do, we're waiting, but it's because of lack of someone
Yes, ma'am.
that's qualified to do it.
Yeah, I would argue one, we're down 12 people in public works. Was that correct, Steve?
Correct.
So we are down 12. I mean, that's a football squad. And the ones we do have are either overtasked or they're not trained specifically on street sweeper.
And hopefully we can start getting some of those filled and stuff, so, okay, very good, thank you. Another thing, how are we, is this the same answer is with our street sign maker?
We're having
Because-
trouble with the program.
So it's not working right
No,
now?
we're having issues. We
Okay.
gotta get with manufacturers so we get those right fast.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, because that's something that with the winds that we have had, a lot of the streets don't have signs. And so that's something that's,
I would argue as a new resident, you're 100% right. And according to Asking Directions, everything is pretty close to Dollar General or Cattle Baron. So I would love, as a new person here, I would love to see some street signs. So I'm completely with you. We'll do what we can to get after
okay,
them.
so we're working on that then?
Yes.
Steve, okay, very good. Okay, thank you. That's all.
Right. Just for you to put on your calendar, we do have a scheduled meeting with that core for September 25th, which is Thursday. At 4:30. And that will be a workshop with the council, with that core. Whoever in the next one. Not sure what the presentation will be, but we'll find out once they get here. Discussion.
Here.
Yes. Chris, I was gonna ask you, how are we doing on water? That's good, full wells.
Yeah, so we're actually at about 24 feet today. We're 100% up. We have one well down, well 3. It's gonna have to be pulled. 10th off, just I think you said, Larry was gonna work on that.
Pull that in place sometimes.
Yeah, so, but we're 100% up in the well field right now. We did cycle the Lime Street tank over the course of last week. Worked on filling that back up. It isn't running or isn't pumping into the system at the moment. But that may change between here and tomorrow.
Yeah, Lime Street's the reserve tank right now. Right?
No, that's okay. I'm okay.
53 pages.
Well, I have like 6. I just wanted to touch base on the Armed Forces Support Committee. We did meet on March 26th. We met last week. Yeah, last Wednesday. We do have, I know that I talked about before the grant that we are forming. We did sign a resolution to be a part of this Armed Forces Support Committee. The grant is the OLDCC Readiness Grant. Right now, we have where there's a couple of ways where we can support this. It can either be as in-kind or as everybody taking their portion based off of population size. Mr. Minton, you were there, so if I'm saying anything incorrectly, please stop me. The grant abstract is I'm just going to read the description. It's the city of Clovis is leading the coordinated effort with the local stakeholders to conduct a military installation readiness review to address water supply, land use, energy, and key infrastructure. The study area includes the city of Clovis, Curry County, the village of Melrose, the city of Portales, Roosevelt County, and area power providers for Curry and Roosevelt counties as applicable. The planning activity strengthens the readiness and lethality of Cannon Air Force Base and the supporting communities. So I will send all of this out to the council members. I'll have Ms. Swopes email this out. There's nothing to decide on just yet. The question that they did ask for me to come back and address is if we would like to go with in-kind or if we would like to just go ahead and pay our portion, which should not be very significant. The total should be less than, I believe, $60,000, which is, I believe it's like 52,000. But that is neither here nor there till we get the actual grant up and ready to submit. So that I just wanted to put that on your radar for prior engagement. And that is all I have.
I've got 6 pages. We'll be out of here by 9:30. No, 3. Just wanted to repeat, I said it a while ago. I got a call from Congresswoman Linda Fernandez. He has obtained $1.8 million for wastewater treatment plant and food improvements in whatever congressional thing that is. It's contingent on passing the budget. If the budget passes, we get it. If the budget doesn't pass, they do a continuing resolution and it'll have to wait and recycle. And I wanted to address one of Ms. Baca's comments with regard to the money on your bill. The surcharge goes 100% debt service. That's all that money's for, is pay for the $20 million that it took to construct that plant in the very beginning. And that surcharge will go away when that debt's paid off. That's the way the ordinance reads with regard to that money. So I don't believe there's any misappropriation or anything with that money. So with that said, we now have an executive session, action to convene in closed sessions to discuss matters provided under New Mexico statute, section 10-15-1, paragraph H7, related to meetings subject to the attorney-client privilege. I need a motion to go into executive session. Second. Motion by Ms. Parker, second by Mr. Self. Ms. Swopes, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir.
Keep the noise down.
Ms. Cordova,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Mr. Lopez,
Yes.
Mr. Merrick,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Self.
Yes.
It carries.
Okay. Okay,
I'd like to make a motion to come out of an executive session.
Second.
motion by Mr. Self, second by Ms. Parker to come out of executive session. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We're back in regular session. First of all, I would like to state that only those items that were stated in the motion to go into executive session were discussed. And we have one item of action.
I'd like to make a motion that Mr. Mitten and Ms. Parker could enter into contract discussion with or without legal counsel.
Second.
Okay, motion is second. Everybody understand the motion? Is there any discussion?
Clarification.
Or do I need to say?
Ms. Parker and Ms. Rowe.
Water co-op.
Right.
Ms. Parker and Ms. Rowe.
Parker, not Water.
Oh, okay, okay.
Ms. Parker, gotcha.
Not that.
City
Right.
and the water co-op, and then we'll leave whoever the appropriate representative.
Danielle, you got that?
I believe so. Is it?
Motion is that the.
Miss-
City of College through Mr. Mitten,
Okay,
Roosevelt County Water Co-op,
okay.
Correct. Or-
Instead of Parker. Okay,
this Ursula.
okay.
Enter into contract negotiations with or without legal.
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for the clarification.
That one clarification.
I was thinking Diane was gonna go. All right, with a motion on the table, everybody understand the motion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.
That was like